First of all, Dr. Lydia Wu is a new Act Fellow in Culture and Creative Arts at Newcastle University. She leads the 5-year research project Decolonising Filmic Curation in the Digital Age, which we're going to hear about today. Her research interests and publications focus on film festival studies, Chinese independent cinema, art cinema, and ethics in documentary filmmaking.
Good morning, everyone. Thank James very much for having me here today. So, as you can see, the title Decolonising Curation of the Asian Cinemas. This is actually our work in progress, so I'm here to represent the founding team of Association for Curators and Programmers of Asian Cinemas. So it's a group of scholars and film practitioners who have been working in the film industry for 1 or 2 decades. So we come together, would like to launch APAC early next year. I would like to create this platform to conduct decolonization in curation of Asian cinemas. So here today I'm going to introduce what motivates us to establish APAC and our objectives and vision in long term. So here I list 3 main issues that we would like to explore, but also what motivates us to create a platform. So, the first one is about the representation or presentation of Asia at film festivals, especially outside Asia. So, so usually Asia has been used as a market label and category, and is usually reduced to an arbitrary and disconnected collection of countries at Asian-themed film festivals outside Asia. And selected Asian films are exhibited by country of origin, representing the national film culture, which ignores inter-regional and cross-regional interactions and conflicts that have shaped Asia as we know it today. And more importantly, it also ignores the transnational and cross-regional flow of capital, technology, and human resources in film production, distribution, and exhibition. So when we share these ideas with film practitioners like curators, archivists, and programmers, we would like to see if we can explore how we can enhance film curation which can garner understanding of Asia as globally circulating and changeable set of discourses produced by historical and contemporary colonizations and global geopolitics. And second, we became aware of different understanding of curation, or the position of curator in academia and the film industry. So in academia, usually curation and programming, sometimes they can be like interchangeable terms. But when we speak to film curators, especially those who have been working at well-established film institutions such as BFI, film archives in Asia, this term, curation and curators, are used exclusively at those established film institutions' archives. That means they have a collection of films, so they can select and program based on their collection. But in recent years, we noticed that, especially for young emerging film curators or programmers, they prefer the term curator and curation in a kind of way to establish themselves in industry, especially for those freelance curators and programmers. And also in academia, and we use it quite often, like we curate a program, we curate a curriculum, so we see there's a gap in understanding this term, especially the curatorial process behind the scene. So we would like to engage film curators and programmers, working with scholars to really look into the curatorial process. And also, especially for film festivals, so usually they call themselves programmers and programming. but they do curation. And curators also do programming. So we would like to work together to really look into this, because it's not just about the position or the role they play, but it also helps us understand this term curation. And especially, we don't want to be this term, only exclusively used by those well-established curators. Anyway, and third, we are also aware of the lack of institutional support, especially for those new emerging film curators and programmers, and to develop their career in the international film industry, and also in EDI issues in the film sector. But it's a common issue in all kinds of sectors, so we would like to focus on the EDI issues and effect a change. So basically, we will explore colonization in two main ways. First, we would like to challenge and redefine the conventional perceptions and presentations of Asian cinemas by addressing the complexity of inter-Asia dynamics and global geopolitics. Second, we also would like to address the unique challenges and the inequalities faced by Asian curators and programmers in the film industry. And when we see the term decolonization, I think nowadays it raises more questions than bring us a approach. So as we work in the UK's education system, and we use this term quite often, like we work with colleagues to decolonize our curriculum, and we decolonize film or our teaching, so it risks becoming a catch-all word. And the African philosopher Olufemi Tawa critiques this trend in his book Against Decolonization, Taking African Agency Seriously, arguing that decolonization's broad application often misidentifies and unjustly targets ideas and practices, fueling undue hostility. And I recently experienced this kind of hostility in an academic event. So I presented about my previous work for the HRC-funded Chinese Independent Film Archive. And so I did a kind of self-reflection on my work, because we collected more than 800 films, Chinese independent films. We brought them from China to the UK. We find a safe place to preserve them and provide access to those film resources. But I realized that the way that we catalog those films and the way that we reframe those film resources should align with the so-called UK or the international archiving and preservation guidelines. We need to create a data set, and I need to write those data set and data, but everything should be aligned with that international guidelines. And then I realized that there are so many different differences, so I need to reframe Chinese independent cinema in order to be fitted into that guidelines. And so I gave this kind of self-reflection to a group of Chinese scholars, and I mentioned the word decolonization. So probably there's a need to decolonize the way we preserve non-Western films in the UK. So I think I'm doing self-reflection and self-criticism. And after that, and I spoke Chinese, and I'm originally from China, at a film event organized by a group of Chinese scholars. And after that, one of the Chinese scholars, and I think is very unhappy to hear the term decolonization. So he told me, you mentioned decolonization. I feel like we are colonized by you. And I was so shocked to hear that. My first reaction is, oh, it's so rude. But after a couple of days, I did self-reflection again. I think this is about my positionality. After, studying and doing research and working in the UK's system, I think I have better reposition myself in a non-Western context when I talk about decolonization. So I realized the global north, decolonization discourses sometimes can arouse anti-colonization sentiment in non-Western contexts. So I think there's a need that the global north decolonization discourses needs to be appropriately adapted to address global south concerns. And we also need to find a nuanced way to move beyond dichotomy of East and West and avoid anti-colonial nationalism and also nativism. So that is why we need an organization, we need a more collaborative approach to decolonize. It's very inspiring. Our team found the Chen Guangxing's Asia as a method towards the imperialization very useful and provides very inspiring theoretical framework for us to think about Asian film curation and how we decolonize it. So in the last two chapters of Chen Guangxing's book, he actually advocates to multiply frames of reference in our subjectivity and worldview through the unique history and cultures of Asian societies while acknowledging the West as constitutive of Asian subjectivity. So we would like to, based on this theoretical framework, we would like to create a platform by adopting a transcultural, interdisciplinary, and cross-sectoral approach to gather creative approaches to curating Asian cinemas and facilitate practice-led research on them, focusing on the interplay between curators, programmers, films, and industrial and cultural contexts in which curation is conducted, and enhance the decoloniality of Asian film curation and set new curatorial standards, and capitalize film decolonization by turning innovative curation by underrepresented communities into sustainable intellectual and creative asset. So here is the founding team of APAC. So as you can see, we are from quite diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. And you'll notice that those who are actually from the West, they're actually based in Asia. And for me and Howie and Iwan, we are originally from Asia, but we work in UK, and also Julian Ross work in Europe. So we would like to create a platform for knowledge exchange between film curator programmers, scholars focus on the decoloniality of film curation and empirical research method in the field. And in the we noticed that there's a pressing need to engage with the lived experience of Asians working in cultural production and examine the intersectionality of uneven decolonization and different forms of new colonization within the region. So we need a more nuanced approach. And in the film industry, film programmers and curators of Asian cinemas have been intensifying efforts to challenge cultural consumptions about Asia and its cinemas, as well as to challenge conventional curation norms by addressing decoloniality. For instance, Film Festival Queer East in London, probably some of you have been there, established by Iwan in response to systemic lack of Asian representation on the big screen and behind the scene in the UK, uncovers the queerness hidden within Asian film heritage. And animistic apparatus co-curated by May Abdur Iqbalian and Julian Ross adopts animistic rituals from Southeast Asia to challenge anthropocentric cinematic exhibition. And the Asian Film Archive based in Singapore seeks to cultivate a stronger sense of regional identity in Asia's film heritage. Their curatorial approaches involve critical reflection on how the region and its cinemas have been reconstructed by engaging with Asia's geopolitics, colonial history, religions, and philosophy, while also evaluating how films engage and provoke audience thought. However, their efforts remain isolated and the curatorial process remains elusive. So that is why you see in the founding group, you can see their names here. Yeah. So to ensure nuanced and non-binary practices of decolonization, APAC will not only open its membership to curators and programmers of Asian cinemas from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds, but also invite scholars from various fields to serve as academic members. We are committed to encouraging the participation of minoritized curators and programmers, including those from Global South, aiming to create a receptive, transcultural space where cultures and ideas intersect and influence one another. And this commitment underpins APAC's framework aligning with the value of EDI, which promote equitable allieships, collaborations and conversations among people across ethnicity, genders, sexuality, nationality, and abilities. But we also became aware of the issue of this term decolonization. We actually had quite a discussion before, and Javi is also here, one of the founding members, why decolonization is not used that much in Asia. And we realize there is another more important term that is anti-colonization, which was used widely in 1940s, 50s, and 60s. And that term is always associated with communism and fighting for national independence. And but this term also caused anti-colonization also caused a very contested narrative of Asia's history. When I shared this idea with Howie, I asked him, so is decolonization is also a very important issue in Singapore? And he said probably not, because of the history of anti-communism in Singapore and those anti-communist states in Asia. So we need to be that is why I would like to engage more film practitioners from Global South, because we would like to know how this term decolonization and anti-colonization are perceived by those people, not us in Global North. And so APAC will conduct a few activities. And the first one is we would like to engage film programmers and curators to develop guiding principles for Asian cinema curation. We will focus on ethical sourcing, historical awareness, inclusivity, sustainability, and preservation, among others. We are also planning to conduct broader and more enduring trials of the guiding principles with APAC members, refining them based on industry feedback. And another activity we would like to do is we would like to build a database gathering data on APAC members, including their identities, income, curatorial practices, and industry challenges, which inform and implement cultural policy change in the future. So we want this database can be used as a kind of resources or tools to inform policy change in the future. And so here is our long-term vision. So APAC envisions a more inclusive and diverse film landscape where Asian cinemas and their curators play an equitable role in shaping industry standards and narratives. It places underrepresented groups from the industry in leading positions to produce actionable outcomes that can be directly applied to enhance film curation and decolonisation in cultural production. And APAC also advocates for film curators and programmers at all career stages by offering opportunities for networking, collaboration, and professional development. It champions racial equality in the film industry with a focus on supporting underrepresented groups. And so we hope that in the future, when we move forward, APAC can develop as a hub for pioneering research and practices in film exhibition and decolonisation in cultural production. And so this is our plan, and hopefully we will launch it early next year, and we will organize a symposium with the Asian Film Archive in Singapore to focus on those issues, and also call for membership to all the curriculums and programs of Asian cinemas all around the world. And next, I will hand over to my team member, Howie, and he is one of the co-founders of APAC. And his presentation, I think, is a really good example to show how APAC can use intellectual thinking and our research into practice, to use the intellectual thinking to curate Asian cinema. Thank you very much.